Nobody gets to complain. I'm sorry. Only I get to complain.
So it's going to be a good show then. It's going to be a hallucinatory show.
That's the only problem is I'm already a repeater, and I'm a little nervous about being Mr. Repeater today with a hollowed out brain. Okay, so how much has your mind changed?
Well, I mean, night and day.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, how could it not change?
Yeah.
I guess there's the thing in the back of your mind is that how is this going to last? Like, is this what they are
Totally.
now, or is this the blip, or is this? This is closer to what we thought they would do coming into the season. No one was saying that this was going to be an 80-point team, and all the things that we talked about, the positives with this team, that they could get good goaltending, that they would score enough goals, that they would have depth down the lineup with the forward group. It's all finally come to fruition here. So I just can't remember another Leaf season where they looked as bad as they did and then look as good as they do now. And the switch flips, and there's not one. I know they had injuries, but it wasn't, like Tanev's still out. Stolarz is still out. They still do have guys that are injured. It's not like it's just someone getting healthy and things have turned around. It's a lot of the guys that looked bad 15 games ago look great right now. And it's funny, that game against Vancouver, Nylander comes back and they move McMahon down to the fourth line, and everyone kind of groans and says, how can you do that? He looks so good on the first line. And I looked at it and I was like, well, I can see the rationale behind this because everyone is playing well. The other lines look so good. You don't want to break up what you have going with how well Michelli's playing. You don't want to break up what you have on the wall line with the way Robertson and Cowan were playing. And, with the Robertson injury and with how McMahon played last night, that kind of alleviates that concern. But it just shows how well basically everyone is going, that it can be hard to find minutes for guys right now.
Yeah, it absolutely can. I'm concerned for Robertson just in terms of the season that he's having and how good that line has looked. But yeah, the idea that you can now just plug and play, you have a whole bunch of different options at your disposal the way that guys are going. And the way that Waugh and Cowan have played, I would think that someone jumping onto that line would be far more exciting. If you're William Nylander, for example, and that was where they decided to put you, are you going to view that as a demotion? I would say no. I would say that you would maybe feel some measure of excitement getting to play with those guys. If you're, Matthew Nyes, it's the same thing. Whatever iteration of player that they decide to go with there, because the team is balanced and because they are spreading the ice time around. And I know like guys like Lawton are still last night probably only around 12 minutes, but the idea that there's going to be a night where depending on the situation or depending on who's going, that you could jump that up to an easy 16, 17, 18 minutes is not foreign to them. Like you look at the Bobby McMahon situation and he does get demoted to the fourth line, and you could say whatever you want, it still is a demotion. And he ends up with 18 minutes last night because he's going, there's an injury, and he acquits himself extremely well, where he scores a goal and he's impactful throughout the entire game. I can't remember a time where the Leafs felt this balanced, lines 1 through 4 with their forward group in this era and these iterations of teams. Can you?
No, I don't think so. Not where you're looking 9, 10, 11 forwards down the lineup and saying, hey, this guy could have a big game, or this guy's going well, or this one, and it feels like what you're talking about for the first time over these last, whatever you want to call it, 10, 12 games, Berube can decide to dial up the minutes for the fourth line or dial up the minutes for the third line. And there are some games where that Waugh line isn't the third line and they're playing as much as Tavares, and they're just based on who's going or based on situations, right? If they need a goal, you play a different line, like Lawton and Lorentz probably play less just because they're looking for a goal a lot of that game and the opponent and things like that. But if they're playing defensively, like if they were up 3-1 in that game, potentially that fourth line plays more than the third line. And that's great that you've got the functionality that of the different lines, the way you can use them and the minutes you can give them. And that's the way that it should be. And it hasn't been for too long because it's been such a two-line team, with the way that with the cap being flat. And I mean, we don't have to relitigate everything that happened with the roster the last few years, but it's been very much a tale of two teams, and all the guys at the top making a lot of money and getting all the minutes, and then your bottom six, you're just trying to get by. And as a viewer, you're watching and you're just waiting for the big guys to go over the board so something will happen, whereas now every line can make something happen. And You know, you've got to go. I'm trying to think when the last time that would be. I mean, maybe early in the rebuild years when you had the luxury of, you know, you had JVR and Bozak on the third line, and then you had dangerous players. You know, you had Kadri, you had Matthews. You were really stacked at center. That's probably the last time that they had this luxury of where you could get something down the lineup night to night the way they are right now.
Yeah, and as exciting as those times were, and there was absolutely more depth, and I think that's the right answer to the counter. Your stars were still in their infancy, right? And as much as they were putting up points, and Matthews showed up game one and scores 4 goals, and he had the beauty against the Washington Capitals, where it was like the lacrosse style goal. Those guys were not established to the degree that they are now. Austin Matthews is a far more complete player than he was in the early stages of his career. So I think that you are seeing not only that balance, but the evolution of those star players. So to me, there's a couple things. I think that the injuries happened at the right time, gave guys roles where the Leafs were forced to lean on them. It moved their hand out of something that they were comfortable with, get more guys to play major minutes. 2 is, you know, we had a lot of conversations about whether or not the pieces were correct, more specifically about Michelli and Dakota Joshua than they were about Waugh. Because even when he was having his like worst games, I never got the sense people couldn't appreciate some of the things that he did and how different he looked from third line centers that they've had in years past outside of the Ryan O'Reilly edition. But I always had this feel that one of the issues with the Leafs was that no matter what your depth was, they were not going to be able to implant or plant their DNA onto the stars, right? That the premise of you have these types of players who are a little bit more passive personalities, who are a little bit more up and down when it comes to their style of play and it being aggressive. It doesn't matter who you add down the lineup. You're not going to be able to change the vibe of the team, the ethic or the ethos of the team. And whether it was bringing in Stetcher at the right time, whether it was Lawton returning when he did, I really do feel in my bones that those 2 guys in particular, and others deserve credit too, but those 2 guys I think are the poster childs for changing the attitude around this team. That those 2 guys came in with a level of desperation, a level of play, a level of passion, a level of just good personality mix with the hockey club, and that as they started to win, that started to permeate a little bit throughout the roster. And now you're seeing that rub off on everyone, and everyone start to play a little bit more like those 2 with that added level of desperation.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't even know. I don't really have a counter to that. I think you're 100% right. And not having Lawton early in the year, I mean, there were snide comments about, oh, you don't have a 4th line center and it throws everything into disarray. But you know, he's so much more than that. And I know you and Sammy on your show, and I've been saying it too, that Lawton should be playing